morning, y'all. My name's Cara. Welcome back to Bluebird Homestead. On today's video, we are going to be making our own seed starting mix. You can also use this as a general potting mix. You can buy seed starting mix pre-made from the store, but it will get quite expensive if you are starting a large quantity of seeds like we are. So, with just a few simple ingredients, you can make it yourself and save a significant amount of money. I'm going to show you how I do it, and I'll leave the recipe in the description below. You're going to need some Vermiculite and Perlite, peat moss, and some sort of container to mix it in, and a container to scoop it out of. So I like to use this blue Rubbermaid plastic tote. It could be any color, it doesn't have to be blue, but we like the color blue around here. And I mix up my seed starting mix in this. And then when I'm ready to put it into my seed starting trays, I put it into a smaller container that I actually put the water in, just because I don't want to be soaking the entire potting mix, seed starting mix at the one time. I just want to be getting the portion wet that I need. This helps also prevent mold from growing if you don't use your entire mix at once. So what you're going to need is 5 parts peat moss to 1 part perlite and 1 part vermiculite. So I use this old just nursery pot. Basically when I say 5 parts, it just means 5 scoops of this. So we're going to have 5 scoops, and it could be any container. You could use a plastic cup, you could use an actual scoop, but we're going to do 5 parts or 5 scoops of the peat moss, 1 scoop of the perlite, and 1 scoop of the vermiculite. And we're going to put it into our blue tote and just mix it up. It's as easy as that. I'll show you how we do it. For starters, we're going to do 5 scoops of the peat moss. The peat moss is our main component here. I don't want my bags to fall over on me. So 5 scoops of the peat moss. This is just from Lowe's, I believe. You could also buy it at Home Depot or just a local nursery. You could also use cocoa coir, but we couldn't find that this year. And the peat moss is the most affordable option we have. So we're just going to do 5 scoops of the peat moss first. We have 5 scoops of peat moss in here now. To that we're going to add 1 scoop of the perlite. Perlite looks like this. It's very lightweight, almost feels like styrofoam, and I think it's actually a volcanic rock. You don't want your plants being too waterlogged, so the perlite helps improve drainage and also adds some air to the soil. We're going to do 1 scoop of the perlite. And then 1 scoop of the vermiculite. And that's it. We're just going to mix it all together. We now have 5 scoops of peat moss, 1 scoop of vermiculite, and 1 scoop of perlite, and we're just going to get in there and mix it all together. One extra step you can do is you can sift your peat moss before you add it into your bucket, because you will find little pieces of bark and stick if a root hits a stick, especially when it's a seedling, it will hinder the plant growing. I honestly just don't have the time to do that. So I am just going to be mixing it together, and as I'm filling each of my seed potting cells, I just remove any sticks that I find and do it from there. It doesn't matter if you don't get every single stick out. And with that, we're done. This is our seed starting mix that we are using for 2022. I've had great success with it, and it definitely saves some money. I'll put a cost comparison on the screen of what it would cost if you purchased all these things individually, and what it would cost if you went ahead and bought the same amount with a traditional store-bought seed starting mix or potting soil. Now, it's not necessarily the most economical solution if you're just starting like 1 6 cell of seeds. However, when you're starting a very large quantity like we are, or if you simply can't find seed starting mix in the store, which is a problem I ran into last year. Last year I couldn't find any seed starting mix because of the heightened COVID demand of seed starting. I couldn't find any seed starting mix in the store, so I had to make my own. So that's how I got started with this, and I had good success with it last year, and we're doing so great so far this year as well. This stuff won't go bad. We're not going to use this entire bag of vermiculite this year, but we're going to be starting seeds for years to come. So it definitely made sense for us to go ahead and purchase the large bag. Buying in bulk is definitely a viable option, whether it's for food or for seed starting mix or homesteading stuff, if your family is going to use it. If you're not going to use it, don't buy in bulk. It doesn't make sense. It won't save you money in the long run. However, if you're going to use it, buy in bulk. So I'm going to show you how we get it wet and what it should look like. Like I said, I put whatever portion I'm going to get wet into a separate container. Here is a little portion of our seed starting mix, and as you can see, it looks like any traditional potting mix or seed starting mix that you would buy because it's basically the same ingredients. To it, I'm just going to add some water. It will take a minute for it to all absorb and soak into your seed starting mix. I like to pre-moisten my seed starting mix before I start my seeds. That way I know my seed starting cells are completely filled with dirt. This will shrink down in volume quite a bit once it's wet. And this basically all comes down to a consistency. There's no perfect science. Seeds want to grow, so it's not like you have to get it perfect. Their one job in life is to grow. But I will show you what it's supposed to look like. So this is basically how your seed starting mix should look like before you put it into your trays. Basically, you want it to look like this. Wet enough that it sticks together, but not so saturated that it is dripping out water if you squeeze it. Let's fill up some trays here. The seed starting cells that I'm using today are from Bootstrap Farmer. This is our first year actually using these. In years past, I have just used some little plastic starters that I got off Amazon, and I've also used blue solo cups instead of red solo cups. One thing, if you are going to use the blue cups, you do want to make sure that you drill holes in the bottom for drainage. So you just pack them in like that, and then you're ready to start your seeds.